Can AI actually help with ADHD? This is something I really want to put to the test. I'm a therapist in private practice. Yes, a real human being, a real therapist who helps real people with real ADHD. And I know people are trying to use AI to see if it can help with ADHD. But I want to try this for myself. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go over to Claude and we're going to type in a couple of scenarios that I often see people dealing with who have ADHD. We'll do a few, maybe 4 or 5, maybe 10, maybe 100. I won't make the video that long. And we're going to type in the scenarios as if we're people dealing with that. And we're going to see what Claude has to say and what they're going to help us with. And then as a therapist who helps people with ADHD every day, I'm going to judge what the responses are like. And so we're going to find out today for sure if AI can actually help or give productive feedback when it comes to ADHD. But before we do that, let me just quickly introduce myself. My name is Matt. I'm a therapist in private practice. I own a group practice called Progress Therapy, stylized as PRGRS, and we specialize in, you guessed it, ADHD. We are located in New York City, but we serve folks throughout the state of New York. If you're interested in checking out our practice, there's a link down below. You can check out our website. But without further ado, let's jump right into the video. All right, so here we are in Claude, and let's start with our first scenario, procrastinating. Hey Claude, I'm having one of those days. I cannot stop procrastinating. Can you give me a few tips to get started on the task I need to get started with? It's a homework assignment. Please help. All right, so Claude gave me 5 different things to do. Let's see how good they are. Just start for 2 minutes. Break it into the smallest possible first step. Clear your environment. Use a body double. Forgive yourself and just begin. Okay, so with those 5, I would say a few of these are pretty decent tips. So just starting for 2 minutes is actually a pretty helpful thing to do. Oftentimes, the starting is the hard part. And if we can just do that for 2 minutes to 5 minutes, we most likely will be able to keep going. So not a bad tip there. Breaking it into a smaller step or the smallest possible first step, I also think that's a pretty good thing to do as well. So great job. Clear your environment. This is okay. I think maybe that's helpful. I don't think it's the best tip, but it's there. Use a body double. I do think that's a good one and one that's often underutilized because there's a lot of friction to it. It's hard to get someone to sit with you or to be next to you or to be in the same room, but it is very good and very effective, so that's a good tip. And then number 5 is the worst one, I think. Forgive yourself and just begin. Not a bad idea in general, but do I think that will actually help you stop procrastinating or to get started? Probably not. So this is decent advice at best. But there's also not much of an explanation, so there's not much context to go off of here. So in general, not the most helpful. Okay, let's start with our next scenario, which is forgetfulness. Hey Claude, I keep forgetting my wallet every day when I go to work, and this is causing real problems because I don't have my ID and it's hard to get into work, it's hard to get into the building. Please help me stop forgetting so much. All right, so Claude gave me a whole bunch of suggestions here. Let's take a look. The nuclear option, don't carry a physical wallet. Okay, create a launch pad. Pick one spot by your door, a hook, a tray, a shelf, where your wallet and keys can live together. Okay, never heard it called a launch pad before. Habit stack it. Attach checking my wallet to something I already do without fail. For example, if I put my shoes on, then put my wallet in my shoes or something like that. Use a physical reminder, a sticky note inside of the front door. Get a tile or air tag. The night before rule. Pack your bag the night before, wallet included. Okay, what do I think about these? Well, number 1, the nuclear option, don't carry a physical wallet. This lacks a little bit of understanding because that's not possible for everyone. It's not a horrible suggestion, but not the first choice I would go with. That's not actually helping build any sort of skill. Create a launch pad. I do think this is really good. I think the name is terrible, but picking a single spot where this thing could live, that's not a bad suggestion. Habit stack it. I also think that's pretty decent. So you don't ever forget your shoes. So if the home for your wallet becomes the shoe, that could work decently. A physical reminder, this is fine, but obviously overutilized. Most people are already doing that, setting alarms. Get a tile or air tag, not the best suggestion. Most people aren't going to jam an air tag into their wallet. And the night before rule, I think it's okay. It's not the most novel skill though. So overall, I think again, some of these, 2 or 3 of these are pretty good, and then the rest are okay. And now I want you to not mistake me. When I say that they're just okay, I think these are fine things for people to try to do. But in terms of actual skills and tools that I think will help with ADHD, they're not all the best. It's also important to know that everyone is different. So some things I don't think might be the best skill, someone else could use and say it's really, really great. That's the other thing about ADHD. all the skills and tools are trial and error, and different skills fit different people's needs. All right, let's do our next scenario, which is a relationship problem because we are hyper-focused on something and having a hard time stopping what we're focused on. Hey, Claude, I find myself coding for hours on end and I get into the flow state. It's really hard for me to stop, but then I miss the plans that I've made with my partner, like going out to dinner or spending quality time together. It just feels so hard for me to stop, but it's causing problems in my relationship. Can you please give me some tips to improve this? All right, so Claude came up with a few different suggestions here. Let's take a look. Set hard stop alarms, not reminders. So set an alarm labeled "Leave now for dinner" in all bold. That goes off 30 minutes before you need to stop. Use a parking note to exit the flow state. The reason it's so hard to stop is fear of losing your place. Before you close up, spend 3 minutes writing down exactly where you are. Time box your coding sessions. So instead of coding open-endedly, set a session with a defined end time. Make your partner part of the system. Schedule coding like you schedule plans. Recognize what's at stake. All right, now I think we're starting to decline in some of the suggestions. Not all of them are bad, but let's go through these. So setting hard alarms, this is okay. I think it just has to be audible, something you can hear. That can work pretty well. I don't know if we need bold letters, but again, I think hard alarm sounds fine to me. A parking note, this is not a bad idea. It's not necessarily addressing the ADHD issue, but then again, we didn't mention ADHD specifically here. We're just talking about the actual issue that we deal with that typically relates to ADHD. But I think this is an okay suggestion, but again, doesn't really touch on ADHD. Time box your coding sessions. This is okay, but I think that's the problem. People can time box it, but then it's really hard to just stop. And so again, we're kind of missing the issue at large. Make your partner part of the system. I think this is not a bad idea, right? So when you invite someone in to help you, that could work well. It's not so much asking them to babysit you, but you are taking ownership and suggesting that this is something that would really help you. And if they're open to it, having them knock on the door or send you a text or something could be really helpful. Schedule coding like you schedule plans. I'm not sure about that one. And then recognize what's at stake. Yeah, I don't think that one's too helpful. All right, let's do one more. All right, this one's going to be about having so many different hobbies and switching between all of them and feeling like we just don't have enough time for everything. Hey, Claude, I get interested in so many different things. I feel like I stick with something for 1 week, then I switch to another. I go really deep, I switch to another. And it just feels like I'm switching hobbies all the time and end up losing all of my free time. I think this might be ADHD related. Can you please give me some tips to make this better? All right, so Claude gave a bunch of suggestions here as well. Let's go through them. Number 1, embrace being a multi-potentialite. So now Claude is trying to help us reframe how we think. They're saying that having multi-interest is not purely a flaw. The problem isn't the curiosity, it's the feeling of lost time. So I think Claude is getting a little heady here in trying to provide actual mental health support. I'm not sure how I feel about that one. Number 2, create a hobby shelf. When you feel the pull to switch, instead of abandoning the current thing, write the new interest down on a list and give yourself permission to come back to it. That's okay, not great. Set a minimum commitment window. Limit active hobbies to 2 at a time. Schedule your interest hopping. Track what you've done, not just what you've abandoned. And then talk to a professional about ADHD piece. Now, that's probably the best suggestion they've made all day. They recognize that they cannot help with ADHD, right? But these other ones, I think these might be, these are decent things to try. But as far as ADHD specific skills and tools, I don't think these are that great. Again, they're not really addressing the deeper underlying ADHD issue. So what do I think about this overall? I think some of the skills and tools they're sharing are fine. Some are actually quite helpful, but I would never use this in lieu of a therapist. I think one of the best ways you might be able to use this if you're interested in it is to actually take some of these skills and tools, bring them to a provider, and then talk through them, process through them, learn about them, and see which ones could actually work for you. Now, I think that a lot of people are trying to use this to just replace providers, but that is not a good idea because if you just look through some of this, they've given me some skills and tools, but there's very little context. You can tell it doesn't quite understand exactly what ADHD is. and how to deal with it well. It's very context specific when it comes to ADHD. It's very complex. It impacts every facet of life. And I think this is just overly simplified. Now, could we modify our prompts and make it more complex? Probably. But I'm trying to use this just like anyone would in most everyday scenarios, right? We type in the problem, we get a couple of suggestions. And if that's what you do or what you're thinking about doing, again, as long as you have a therapist in place, I think that you could take some of these to the therapist and talk about it. But I would advise not using this in lieu of a therapist. All right. But again, this video is not clinical advice. It's not legal advice. It is for educational purposes only. If you're interested in learning about our practice, you can click the link down below. Check it out, read about us. You can even schedule a free consultation if you're interested. Other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.